the time that the State of Israel, from what I can understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the State of Israel, when it first really came into existence, was after the Holocaust, after World War II. And to me, World War II, or at least I should say the Holocaust specifically, was like the culmination of, it was like the horrendous crescendo to all that had been building up around the Jewish populations, around this group of people that have been maligned for hundreds or thousands of years. And because of the various conditions that were emerging in Europe at that time, fascism rose, and the Jews were seen as the scapegoat and seen as the vehicle for the Nazis to gain control of the state and expand their empire, basically. And out of that came this horrendous thing called the Holocaust, right? Now, to me, it doesn't seem like a coincidence that the State of Israel would have emerged almost within a very short period of time after that event ended. Do you see a direct connection between what happened in the Holocaust and what is now the State of Israel?
Well, this connects to something that I actually was going to clarify, which it's important to remember that Zionism was very unattractive to most Jews. Most Jews decided to emigrate. Most Jews who faced the pogrom, and this is why I initially discussed these defensive strategies, because most Jews who could escaped, right? That is a very basic, fundamental defensive strategy. If you can leave violence, you leave violence, right? So the Jews who could leave to the U.S. or to the UK or other locations did it. They did not choose Zionism. Zionism seemed to most Jews like we look at Messianic Christianity, right? And we're like, this is just crazy. This kind of manifest destiny philosophy that thinks that something that is written in a book from thousands of years ago applies to today, and that we have a right over other people. It's fundamentally racist, and most Jews rejected it as such. The Holocaust presented Zionists with an opportunity that they just didn't have. It was kind of a golden opportunity for them. I'm not saying that they were cheering for Adolf Hitler, though, and I've documented this, and I've written about it, and others have documented the fact that Zionists collaborated with fascists, with anti-Semites, and still do until today, because there are many joint interests. The number one joint interest is this vision of global apartheid, right, where the Jews are all in Israel, and the white people are in their white countries, and the black people are in their black countries, right? So this kind of notion of this fascistic notion of global apartheid is something that was always present in the Zionist movement. It's a cornerstone of it. But back to your question, the Holocaust presented Zionists with this unbelievable opportunity to actually fulfill their vision. Beforehand, it looked like it wasn't going to happen. Not a lot of Jews were falling for it. And many Jews were very critical of Zionism. And I reviewed a book written by Moses Menuhin, who's the father of the violinist Yehudi Menuhin as well, same last name, and it's a very anti-Zionist family, and who pretty much spoke in very clear, uncertain terms about the injustice that was going on in Palestine very early on, way before the State of Israel. So the Holocaust just kind of made the opportunity happen for Jews who, for example, my grandfather was escaping the Nazis, and the only place he could go was Palestine. It wasn't that he had a choice. So he went there, because otherwise he would have been killed. He wasn't a Zionist. He just wanted to live his life, and I think most Jews who escaped the Nazis were like that. They weren't this kind of fervent, like the early Zionists who came to Palestine were very idealistic. Most of the Jews who came in during World War II were just trying to get away. So the Holocaust was kind of and also a huge propaganda boost to the Zionist project, right? Because here we need a Jewish state. They're killing us everywhere else. We need somewhere we could be safe, et cetera, et cetera.
So a question I had is you've talked about this as well, and I'm wondering, how is this successful? Is this fusion of self and nation with Zionism, especially because a lot of Jews initially rejected Zionism? How has that been successful, the fusion of Zionism with nation and self?
Yeah, that's the extremely successful. I'd even claim probably one of the most, if not the most successful state propaganda effort in modern history, at least. Well, it starts very young. Okay, so you have to start from a very, very early age, and you have to go against the truth, pretty much, right? Propaganda is the antithesis of truth. It's a revisionist kind of version of history, and you present it from a very early age. Then you make the entire population an accomplice to the crime. And this you do by just the obligatory military service, right? Everybody is part of the crime. Doesn't matter if you were serving coffee in Tel Aviv to your commander, you were still some screw in the big machine, okay? That is the Israeli military, which is oppressing. It's a force which oppresses another people. Then you use fear, constant fear, constantly. And this is I have two kind of charts that I used in a talk I gave. One is this cycle that I talked in your previous question, which is the transition from defense to offense, and the other one is just the fear reinstatement cycle. Right? You take a population that's already traumatized and you constantly reinstate the fear. They're constantly coming to kill us. They want it. The second Holocaust is they want to slaughter us all. They want to erase us, etc. If you look back at the history of Israel, there was always an existential threat. Okay, and now for example, it's Iran. Right? It doesn't matter that the evidence is contrary to what Netanyahu keeps hammering about, keeps talking about in the UN, etc., and people are ridiculing him because it's, he takes one statement from Ahmadinejad, and twists the words. It kind of reminds me of the smear campaign against Ilhan Omar, but he twists the words and he uses that to claim that Iran is going to, listen how absurd it is. Iran is going to enrich uranium, create a bomb, and then launch it to Israel. I mean, you have to be so completely out of your mind to do something like that, because 3 seconds later there's no Iran. So,
yeah.
I mean, and for what? I mean, there's absolutely, it just doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't matter. As long as you keep fear mongering, you have the population by the balls, so to speak.